I'd now like to introduce the next speaker to you, Mr. Attila Ferenczi. His biggest inspiration is bringing waste recycling closer to society and to make a clearer picture of how our consumption habits and household waste affect the environment, climate change, and the role that recycling plays in a circular economy. Mr. Ferenczi is a CEO at Recobin, a company that managed to involve venture capital into its waste recycling program that included a full-scale waste management service designed for office buildings in Budapest. The service includes consultancy, indoor waste collection methods, education, waste delivery, and monitoring activity, recently operating in 30 sites. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. And first of all, I would like to have a sound check if you can hear me properly.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I would like to keep it as short as possible, just to have enough time for the questions by the end of the presentation. And I also would like to underline that it is so hard, so difficult to say anything after listening to such inspirational presentations that we had today. I've been attending to conferences and presentations for I don't know, 15, 16 years at all. And I need to say that it's always the best thing that can happen to someone if you are thinking about participating or making something that is something that you couldn't imagine that is possible before, and listening to someone could inspire you in such ways. And also I hope that I will have some time to refer back to the previous presentations, because I had been holding a presentation at the same conference with Dana, with the cabinet project, and I loved the idea that time as well. And it is so nice to see her again, even we haven't met in person and we didn't have time to discuss such things. And also I would like to underline that the whole line of presentations give a nice perspective how we move from the top of the waste pyramid. If you've heard about the concept of waste pyramid, if you haven't, just look it up, Google it, and you will easily understand it. Just on the top of it, it's how to avoid waste, then how to how to reduce the amount of waste, how to reduce then. That was the project about the cabinet project, and now I'm going to talk a bit more about the third priority. So I give myself a kind of third place in that order, that waste recycling is still the third priority in this waste pyramid. So again, thank you so much for inviting me, and just let's go ahead with the presentation itself. So as Yip already introduced me, my name is Attila Maxim Ferenczi, but just call me Attila. And I am the founder of a Budapest-based company named Recobin, which I'm going to talk about, and the story of myself and Recobin, how I got myself the inspiration to make a company. Also, I would like to maintain the fact that I'm not an economist myself. So I studied environmental sciences. I didn't have any experience in economics, and I just learned it on the fly. So I really can relate to those who don't have such a background. So just a few words about my past, that it was like in the beginning of 90s when the first commercial TV started to broadcast Cartoon Network, and I was like 6 years myself that time, and 6 to 7 years, something like that. And there was one cartoon I love to, or one show that I love to watch, which was Captain Planet, who is a hero and takes pollution down to zero. And I watched it so much and I loved it so much that my mother started to tell me that, my son, if you are not, if you are watching TV that much, you are going to be a garbage man. So I watched it that many times and I became a garbage man myself, doing waste recycling. I studied biology in the middle school, and then I started to focusing more on the environmental issues. So I studied environmental sciences, as I explained it before. And my first connection to work together with the group was in the second year of my university studies, when we made our first NGO, which I'm going to talk a little about. I also was working together with British Council in a program called Challenge Europe. I worked as an environmental educator at WWF, and it took a lot of time to become brave enough to make my own company with no experience, with no background. I just wanted to maintain the importance that I had the chance to be and to learn many things from the point of the NGOs, from the point of the economical, so the social side of the world. I've also worked for government-related bodies as an environmental educator, sorry, and then I started to become an entrepreneur myself. But before, the technical inspiration was when I was attending to one of the British Council organized events maybe it was in Istanbul, maybe, and there was one lady who brought us an example why taking care of waste and the concept of circular economy is so important, and to avoid waste. And she took an example of the Kinder Surprise egg because it has so many materials included in just one tiny product that we have metal, we have chocolate, we have milk, we have plastic, we have paper, which is made of cellulose. And she showed us a diagram that it took so much effort and it takes so much material from so many places of the earth that it is almost nonsense. I mean, it really shocked us when she drew a map of the globe and to how to get the chocolate from the middle America, Central America, from where to get the paper, and then take everything to Belgium or to Italy, and then to distribute the Kinder eggs to all the places to the world. So you can imagine how enormous environmental and social effect does just this tiny thing has. And we have so many things which there is a video on YouTube which you can see. It was made by Annie Leonard, and the name of the YouTube video is Story of Stuff. I really would like to say to just watch it, because it is so inspirational that it shows the concept of the waste stream, of the material stream that we have to face now in the world, that we have such a linear production system in the world, and in order to do something with the environment, with all aspects of the environment, and in order to do something with waste, we have to move towards to circular economy. So this is really a basic explanation that everyone can really understand, and you can show it to many people, and I'm pretty much sure that it is going to inspire others as well. So during my university studies, I had to realize that there is no such solution for the amount of institutional waste. So basically, in many countries in Europe, you have these household waste dispatch service that garbage truck comes to your house and takes the waste takes the recyclable waste away from your household, but there is in many countries and in many cities there is no conceptual solution for that. And the basics of why it is important to do something with institutional and with waste and with the part that is generated in workplaces is that at least according to EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, at least 50% of the amount of municipal waste is generated at somehow at the workplaces. And as I told you before, we have no proper solution to that. However, and I know that this chart is in Hungary, but in Hungarian, but I'm going to explain it to you, and also you can Google it, that the EU directives are saying that by 2035, we should reach at least 65% of recycling rates to all recyclable packaging materials, plastics, paper, glass, metal, and wood as well. And for example, in Hungary, we have something around 19, maybe 21% of waste recycling rates, which is basically at this percentage for like 10 years, and it's not really moving up. So we really need to do something. And in fact, I assume that the reason why there is no such solution for institutional and workplace waste recycling, we have to deal with that in order to reach these recycling rates, because otherwise 50% of the municipal waste is more likely going to landfill or to incineration somehow. So our first project was when I was a university student, and I told you that I'm going to refer back to the environmental club that I was participating in. And we had a huge building with 6,000 university students and the teachers, of course. And when we were like second grade students studying environmental sciences without having any kind of waste recycling system at the university, basically almost at all. So there were some bins for like plastic, and that was all. There was no such recycling system in the institution, and it is so typical that it's so true for so many institutions, I need to say. In fact, in order to make a proper waste recycling there, we needed like 1,000, maybe 1,200 indoor recycling bins, because we wanted to throw most of the trash bins out and replace them with recycling bins as much as possible. So it was 180, 200 bins per building. And in fact, we had one of the NGOs at the university applied for a grant, and we had the chance to make our first pilot project, which costed around like maybe 1,800 euros, and we were able to make 5,000 euro savings just for these two buildings, only for the university. So indoor recycling, and the conclusion of the project was that in order to reach such high recycling rates, it is not simply enough to do the education, because I hear at so many conferences that education is one of the keys to recycling, which is I consider, of course, important. But without proper indoor waste recycling systems, without proper tools, you won't be able to do anything simply by educating the people. So in fact, we had to, in order to make the pilot project, we had to develop our own product, which ended up as the first product of my company, which is a recycling bin made of recycled material. And I really just would like to point out a few things why it was important that to develop a new product, because other products available in the market costs at least 3, but more likely 4 to 5 times higher than this product itself. So we had to find a cheap solution in order to do a waste recycling. So we had to develop a product which ended up basically a product that is made of recycled material, which also has an important message. Plus, it has like multiple design ideas. You can write anything on the top lid. We could decide what color we would like to use. So it can easily designed to any other EU country designs. And also itself, the product itself is basically a kind of certain environmental education. We also had to realize that in order to do the waste recycling system, even we were like second graders in the university, a certain amount of consultancy with the facility management of the university was extremely necessary, so they understand the whole concept. So the basic of the Recobin was this product. We started to promote ourselves with this product, and we faced a possibility that the EIT had a Climate Innovation Award, which I applied for, and I was one of the of the project. The Recobin was one of the projects that won a grant. It was 20,000 euros, which helped us to develop more the project. And a couple of years later, we were able to invite a venture capital. Basically, we did not invite a venture capital to our company, but the venture capital found us that this might be an interesting project for them. So many years spent, and I just wanted to highlight one of my best experiences in the past couple of years, that we were able to win the Hungarian Environmental Grant Prize because of our impact on environment and the social impact that I'm going to talk a bit more. So what is Recobin? What is my company or our company is doing? So the business model first was based on the recycling bin, but later on our customers who bought these bins wanted to have like educational materials, they wanted consultancy, they wanted transportation as well, and they wanted like several solutions to reduce their communal waste and transform it to recyclable waste. So basically, these institutions have the same amount of waste if they don't care about reduction of the waste. So what you can do is that you can divert as much as possible from incinerators and from landfills to recycling facilities. So today's Recobin is basically it's a waste recycling company, but in a different perspective. We are rather a facility management company. Facility management companies are the ones that contract with property management companies who basically own office buildings. They own the institutions, they own the banks, they own logistics parks and stuff like that. And so we are basically a facility management company focusing on waste recycling. And also we are a social enterprise, which I'm also going to talk a bit later. We now have 25 plus employees, and I'm really glad that by this year we will able to reach 1 million euro per year, almost 1 million euro per year revenue, which helps us to sustain our activity. And we are constantly innovating. We are curious, so we are looking for new ways of waste reduction. The pillars of the business is, one pillar is the recycling bins. We also that I introduce to you certain projects. So we participate in cup collection projects. I'm talking about the cup of these plastic bottles or phone collection campaigns. But the basics of our income is the facility management service, which includes the indoor installation of recycling bins, which includes the communication, which includes local waste treatment, local waste separation, which includes the transportation, the dispatch of the waste, and also consultancy and monitoring activity. If you ask why this Recobin method became successful, because we were able to, and I would like to correct a bit, because now we have 60 different sites, contracted sites only in Budapest, and I'm really looking forward that we are expanding more this year. So why the Recobin method is successful, and I think that you had workshops on that, which was about stakeholder analysis, and I really considered how to implement stakeholder analysis when developing the business idea. And when it comes in handy, when it comes useful, is when you have so many stakeholders that you have to somehow motivate at the same time. So there are these property and asset managers, there are facility managers, there are site managers. Sorry, I left that part in Hungarian, so that is cleaning companies. And because we are employing people with bad social skills and also with bad working skills, homeless people recently came out of jail, we also need to take care of them. So regarding the property management companies, we are able to motivating them that we can generate such high recycling rates that goes up to 70%, and they can easily apply them for LEED, BREEAM, and WELL standards. The business model works that we make fixed service fees. That means that, and also fixed term contracts, at least 24 months, which means a fixed income for us, and we are able to reduce the amount of communal waste transport, plus the reduce. So on the right side of the chart, you can see that we are able to reduce the amount of money that they pay for the reduced amount of communal waste, plus our service fee is most likely going to be still less than the amount of money that they paid before that we implemented the system. So we still, with our system, they can still have savings on managing their waste, and they get a full-scale service at the same time. So for the cleaning companies, it was important that by making the indoor waste recycling more comfortable, so we let's say throw out most of the desk side bins. Desk side bins means the death of indoor waste recycling. So in order to do that, you have to throw out these desk side bins, make recycling islands indoor, and this system is going to be more comfortable, more useful for the cleaning companies. So we were able to motivate the cleaning companies as well to work with us at the same time. I also mentioned that in order to have such high recycling rates, we also implement local waste treatment, because indoor you can separate maximum like 2 or 3 different types of waste by the users, by the office workers, or by the students, you name it. But in the end, when the waste is transported down to the basement of the building, then we separate it into at least 13 different fractions. So we really separate it as much as possible. And for that instance, we hire people through our connections with NGOs who are working, people who are, let's say, on the periphery of the society. So we are basically running an integrational program for them, digitalization them, which means that we teach them how to use smartphones, because we communicate with smartphones. We cannot be at each of our 60 sites at the same time. That would be nonsense. So we have to teach them how to communicate of what they are doing at the site. And now we were able to integrate 20 people from this periphery of the society. 3 of them already were able to apply for certain housing. So now they are accommodated in small flats. Our company means a reliable and stable workplace for them because of our long-term contracts. So it was so important that in order to have such a social impact and such an environmental impact, we had to make long-term contracts. That was one of the keys of our success. And as I said, we have NGO partners for recruiting. Just a couple of numbers about our environmental impact. I think I will just move to the next slide, because I would like to also talk a bit about the importance of ESG concept, that environmental social governance becomes a new buzzword in banks and in property management companies. Most of the big companies need to come out with an ESG report by the end of this year. And they need to include as much environmental, social and governance related things that they do. Basically what we do is that we support material to this report. So that is one of the reasons why they are working with us. And I also suggest you to, if you haven't done it, just look it up, because this is going to be a kind of new sexy new buzzword for big companies. So anytime you would like to work with any of these multinational companies, you need to know what ESG means. Okay. So about our plans and initiatives, we would like to run the program to support living for our workers. It's kind of social housing program, which we do not have implemented in Hungary at all. Actually, we are the first ones, one of the first ones in Hungary who are working such an integrational program, which surprised me as well when the local government, when the government of Budapest invited me for a consultancy and asked me to suggest some other companies that are doing something similar than we do. And I had to tell them that I came here that you maybe suggest some companies that I can learn from. So it was interesting to, it's interesting to sail on a blue ocean, and it could be really annoying and uncomfortable at the same time, but so exciting as well. So we are also planning to expand to European countries, applying for grants. And of course, we are looking forward to capacity building, because I'm so happy to say that we don't have to do any marketing activity and communication activity, because these property management companies just pass our company from one to another. So they suggest, if somebody is looking for a waste management company, they suggest us. So a quick summary of the presentation and then the questions. What, in my consideration, makes a good social enterprise? It is very important that it integrates sustainability into all aspects. So in the products, as I described before, in the services, and in the business model as well. In the business model, I mean long-term contracts. In order to have environmental impact, you have to, you cannot just focus on tomorrow. You have to focus on the next year and the next year and the next year after. So you are able to make cash flow for yourself and the strategy for yourself. You invest in people. We are educating our people on all levels of our activities. So the workers as well. We educate the management team. We are constantly measuring our impact. So how much waste we are recycling, how many people we do integrate, and we also communicate it in order to support the companies to make their ESG reports. We constantly keep attention to all of our stakeholders. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, but it pays off. I really can say it pays off. And also we are looking for innovations, market potentials, and just now food waste is again a buzzword in the EU. So let's do something with food waste, because we generate so much food waste. And now we running a campaign that we are collecting coffee residuals, so the one that, you know, when you make coffee and the thing that comes out, and we are in connection with a company who basically grows mushrooms on that. So that's how we make this circular economy loop. So we are looking for these sexy innovations because companies just love it, and then they are willing to pay for your services and pay for your products. So that is in a nutshell. I think my time is already almost up. We have like maybe 15-20 minutes for the questions or something like that. Thank you so much for your attention. Sorry for if I spoke like too fast, but I wanted to stay in time. And there is two more things that I wanted to say, that in the previous presentations, so inspired by the previous presentations, it made me just meanwhile think about the approach in order to make a good company that can generate income. It cannot be simply based on selling things or solving one problem, like the problem with the waste. But why it was important to implement the stakeholder analysis into our everyday activity is that we understood the importance that we have to solve the problems of our customers. So it took many hours of consultancy for myself to discuss with our future contracted partners what are their needs, what they are looking for, and to design the service based on the environmental needs, based on the social needs, and based on their everyday needs, because it was so important when we designed the business model, when we designed the financial part of the business, that somehow we have to figure it out how our method, how our service is going to like at least be the same cost for them, but if we can make some savings, then it is going to be like economically sexy for them as well at the same time, and it is a huge selling point when we are negotiating with our partners. So that was one of the things that I wanted to refer to, and yeah, also look for, if you are working with a group of people with any like social or other mental health problems, again, do not just focus on how to solve the problems, but how you can make like I really would like to say it like kindly, but how to make benefit out of the group you are working together with. Just let me give you an example. Like in the past 2 years during COVID times, I'm really happy to say that we did not lose a single customer, which was really important to us, because we had to somehow manage the business to be financially sustainable continuously. And it was an important part of the communication when the office buildings kind of emptied, because everyone started to, and maybe some of you, just most of you, started to work from home. Then they approached us. Okay, there is not that amount of waste. So if there is not that amount of waste, we can break the contract, even if it's fixed and long term, or you should do it for a way more less money. And there were two important parts of the negotiations from our side. One is that the service, there is a wide perspective of services that we include into our contracts, which means that there is, again, we try to figure out how can we implement a new program or prepare for the next year projects, or do environmental educational programs on one hand. So we moved forward instead of negotiating the things that we have at that time. I mean, the empty offices itself, and that the fact that there is no such amount of waste. So that was on one hand very important, that we looked for the future. We were thinking about what could be done instead of in the future, instead of what activities are needed at the present. And also we've used this opportunity to maintain the importance that we are still running an integrational program. So in case it would be really, let's say, and that was an emotional part of the negotiations, it would be not so good to lower our prices too much, because otherwise we could not sustain this precise activity, because there was still some waste generated at the workplaces, but maybe like 20 to 30% than we had before. So it was important that we had such a wide variety of services included in one package, and we had many negotiation points. So the conclusion is try to make a benefit out of what and who you are working with. So yeah, that would be, I think, my final words so far, yeah, I'm looking forward to the questions that might be inspired by this presentation. Okay, sorry, one more thing, that I really don't want to overestimate of what we are doing now. It took me 16 years of constant really hard work. I mean, and it really took like 12, 14, and sometimes 20 hours a day to create such a system. And it was also important that there was one time around 2016 when we almost became bankrupt. And it was because of my personal incompetence in economics. So I'm really happy that that was the moment when I was introduced by the venture capital to my partner, whom together we run this company. His name is Marcel, and he's really making a huge effort in the advisory of economical part of the business. So I'm basically bringing the knowledge and the concept, and he's doing his part of the financials. And without his knowledge, I'm pretty much concerned that this company would not exist. So I also need to underline that, as I said, a couple of years ago, we almost became bankrupt, and then we were able, from trash, basically from trash, create a company. It was knowledge, courage, enthusiasm, and yeah, a lot of like conflicts and a lot of love, lot of struggle and effort that had to be put in Recobin, so that we are able to do what we do now, and I'm really happy that I can speak of this perspective. And as I said, I can really relate to many of you, because I really did not have enough amount of knowledge on how to start. But if you can partner up with someone who has the background, then yeah, it can be made. Okay, thank you, and then I'm really done.
Thank you very much for your inspiring words. It has, invited a lot of people to ask questions in Slido. We have quite a number of questions on there. But before I move on to the platform, is there anyone who'd like to ask their question in plenary here on Zoom? Okay, then I think
they're so shy they dropped it in Slido. Yeah. Well, you can ask it anonymous.
Questions on Slido. So that's okay. The first one is, do you think the national level in Hungary is doing enough to foster circular economy initiatives?
No. And I also, there's one more thing that came to my mind during the previous presentations, is that in fact we have such differences amongst EU countries, that, and even in countries amongst cities and towns, that the business model is basically based on the communal transportation fee. The communal transportation fee, because we cut that part, is so low, and it is actually the same for 15 years. Imagine for 15 years how much economy changed. And besides that, there are basically political, so it rather has a political aspect. And in order to motivate people to do more recycling, we really should pay the externalities of our waste, because we don't, and I'm absolutely concerned that we do not pay the externalities of our waste anywhere on this globe. So no, pretty much no. We are usually late for the legislations. We are usually late with the laws. We are usually late with integration of the EU regulations into our local regulations, and it is really not changing for a while.
So there's clearly some action for the people in power on this matter, I would say.
Yeah, and I'm also sure that the reason why we are not working together with state-related offices is that they are too rigid for our concept, and even the people who are working there are motivated to do, but the system itself is so rigid, and I'm pretty sure that somehow this property market and the workplaces need to play a leading role to move upwards with waste recycling, because and I also would like to maintain the importance of reducing the waste and of reusing as much and as much as possible. But still, there is a huge amount that goes to incineration. If you don't know what incineration means, it's burning of the waste and somehow generating energy, which is not so different of fueling your car and then emitting it to the atmosphere. So it basically have almost the same carbon footprint. Transporting to your waste to landfill, there's still huge amount of waste, reusable and recyclable waste going to these facilities. So somehow need to be done this at this point and at this part as well.
Yeah, and I think someone was also wondering in the more beginning part of your presentation, you mentioned the university that you kind of started the company at, or the project, and then form it to the company.
Yep.
Was the university helpful when it comes to, you know, being able to facilitate your project idea?
They did not block, I would say. They did not block our initiatives because, you know, it was the beginning of, it was in 2004, sorry. It was in 2004, 2005, the year when we did this university project. So at that time, it was just the beginning of the realization that it will be not just a communication, because most of the time they thought that, okay, it would be nice to say that we have recycling at the university. But when we proved that with, let's say, an investment with 1,500 euros, they are able to save 5,000 euros per year. So that was, I think, the point when they later on, just after, realized that, okay, it's just, it wasn't just an environmental decision, but it was an economical decision at the same time. And so, yeah, that's why we need pilot projects in order to prove that.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this subject yesterday as well, a little bit, about there is kind of the stigma that the circular economy is expensive, and so people are, you know, a little bit hesitant when it comes to jumping in. But now we clearly can see that it also is financially attractive for them. So where you would hope,
sorry, you need to find to make a benefit out of as much benefits out of circular economy. So I mean, there is no question that without implementing, so let me make it clear, without implementing circular economy into all aspects of our economy, then we are going to like die, all of us. So people from the earth, we are going to vanish ourselves. Okay, just let me make it clear. So we have to find a way to back to the systems nature is actually using. It is called, as I said, I don't want to overestimate what we are doing, but scientifically, you can say a term, you can find a terminology which is named biomimicry. Okay, so you are trying to somehow find a way to what you do is what is the relation to what nature does. And when you find that way, that because nature already found it, and nature knows how to find cheap ways, okay, the easiest way, then you are more likely to be financially sustainable as well, and your solution is going to be financially better than competitors, okay?
Yeah, and what I also found quite striking is that, you know, you would hope that parties step in for the reason of the environment as being most important, but at the end of the day, it often still comes down to that financial aspect. I think that is also something that was at least going through my mind when I was hearing your presentation.
Yep. Pretty much. I mean, I didn't want to like put too much focus on that, but this why negotiating, especially negotiating, not just with our first customers, but until today, they just keep asking, how much is it? Okay. And yeah, when it comes to financials, and we are able to say that it won't cost more to you than the regular waste treatment system that you use, then and what else? Okay, because we still need to make, because they still, at that point, they somehow need to make an effort to do the transition to a greener building, and then at that point when the knowledge on ESG comes in handy. Okay, that you can propose a perspective to them that, for example, offices with LEED and BREEAT standards are they can make contracts with tenants 20 to 28% faster than the buildings that do not have. So basically, then if you have a knowledge on different levels of what you are working with, then you can promote them that as well. That they will be it will be way more easier for them to rent out the offices, and this knowledge comes in handy, especially during these times. Okay. Okay. These are just examples. Okay, so these are just examples. You need to find your own like knowledge on the field that you are working.
Definitely. Another participant was wondering, did you encounter many roadblocks when you first sought funding for your business idea?
Especially during our negotiation with the venture capital. I mean. The startup competition was kind of easy. I mean, it's because it took like 5 years of preparation. Okay, so I attended to pitching trainings. I attended to business model canvas trainings. I've been doing business model canvases like 60 times. I have no clue. I really just repeating, and I concluded that just one referration to this, that it is so important that when you are doing a business model, focusing on one service, one product. Okay, do not implement two, because it's okay. It will be just a chaos in the end. So Recobin has 3 business activities, which means 3 business models, okay? 3 stakeholder analysis and stuff like that, okay? So strategies and activities, basically almost like 3 different companies. I could even separate these activities into 3 different companies. And so during the venture, during the negotiations with the venture capital, it was, harsh, because we didn't have a history of investing in startup companies at this stage at that time. So we were one of the first ones in 2013 in Hungary, and we do not have the culture of it until today. It's of course is developing, but that was one of the struggle. I would say that it's not the launching. Launching, you can just push the button. It's maintaining your activity. Okay, it's totally different. You really need to do the administration, 3 hours of the administration constantly each day. Okay, when you are like the 2 of you, 3 to 4 hours. Okay, and accept that. And if you accept that, then you have the chance to be successful. But running a company needs attention, needs knowledge, and needs time for administration. So I would say that part was way harder than launching.
Okay, that's interesting to hear, and also last week we had a course on business planning and pitching. So hopefully together with the people that were there last week and this week, we have some new circular entrepreneurs here who have found new inspiration to start. We also have a question in the Zoom chat I see just now from Jean-Pierre, and her question is, My question does include social aspects. There is a range of population who doesn't believe in climate change as a consequence of our consumption and production behavior. Have you ever been in contact with these people, and how did you or would you react?
Of course. Then if there is an uncomfortable issue that we do not agree, and it is not honestly, it's not necessary to make a contract with that person, then I stop discussing that issue. Okay, I offer them. So I'm trying to be like positive, using positive communication. So I'm not saying no. I'm offering an educational program for them, which I can make a benefit out of. Okay, so because it's just simply a fact that we just don't have, or many people do not have the common sense and common knowledge, and because they don't have that scientific background as I do, that human activity is related to climate change. So we can somehow educate them to understand that, but we don't also to see how huge the problem is. We don't need to look at the atmosphere. We just look at our lands, and so it is more close. You know, it's the same as the Europeans, or people who are living in continents just won't understand when the Greenpeace is talking about the problem of whales, okay? Because they haven't seen a whale. I know it sounds harsh, okay? I was doing environmental education, and I was discussing this issue, this topic with people. But when you are talking something that is not as visible in the world, which is very practical, it is like, yeah, it's hard to. There's one more thing I would like to reply to if I have 2 more minutes. It says an unpopular opinion. Let me read it out loud. I said that we work sometimes with people at the fringes of society, like ex-convicts. Yes. Has that ever been a problem for your clients? In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. In fact, which is more important, that what we make is by running the integrational program, we are not just inviting people like, okay, him, her, okay, but we try to, let's say, monitor them before integrating them. Okay, so we try to build up what skill sets they have and what skills are they missing, if they are dangerous in terms of stealing something or not. And basically it's not the issue if somebody is an ex-convict or not, because anytime anyone can, if somebody is living on the periphery of the society, still having somewhere to live, can steal things from the offices, and it happens with the cleaning stuff in fact. So not many times. I don't know if your countries or your offices facing this problem. In certain cases it could, I would say, just it could happen. It doesn't happen too regularly. And of course, yes, I mean, there is a bigger problem with addictions like drug and alcohol, but if you know what, if you understand how to work with people, like homeless people, people dealing with addictions, and it takes, again, a lot of effort to understand the knowledge and the approach of your stakeholder and the NGOs who are working together with homeless people, who are working together with ex-convicts. So if you understand their concept and they try to learn what they know, then you can create a system that assures you that you will hire a person who is less likely to do something. But of course, there is always a risk, and but there is always a risk in many aspects when you are running a business. I would say it pays off. Okay, it pays off. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of preparation. It really like pushes you to understand, but it pays off in the end, financially, socially, and economically at the same time.
Okay, thank you for answering the final question, and thank you for your presentation in general. I found it very inspiring and very interesting. So we do really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much again for inviting me, and have a nice day for the second part, or the second part of the day, sorry, and for the rest of your workshops. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Our last speaker of today is our dear colleague Marta Serrano. She will present the case study of Custom Regeneration, a project from Italy that entails a regeneration process. The project is funded by Danilo Ragona and translated and presented by Marta Serrano. The floor is yours. I'll quickly share my screen with the presentation.
Thank you, Yip. The first question, you know, sometimes I wonder if we think about disabled people, if we think about their limits. Have you ever imagined that physically limited people like Danilo and his friend could go to Africa and, you know, and explore the savannah, the jungle? Could you ever imagine that he could go and run with a handbike or practice any other sports? They do actually. And this is thanks, I mean, this was, a discovery that, you know, they made some years ago, trying to overcome their physical barriers, right? So please go ahead, Danilo, Deep, sorry. Yeah, this was the reason why they created this custom regeneration project. Is as you saw in the video, I apologize, it was in Italian, so probably you didn't understand, but I think the images spoke by themselves. It is a completely made in Italy project. They start from this concept of the regeneration, using to creating sustainable products, but using the concept of upcycling. We had the question during when we made the quiz before, speaking about recycling and downcycling. So there are these three different words, and in this case, upcycling is the way we build new products, giving a higher value to the product from which they were generated. So this is the concept behind the custom regeneration project of Danilo Ragona. Please go ahead. He takes into account, first of all, also this sustainable goal, you know, about the United Nations sustainable goals that were launched as a challenge for 2030. And number 12 calls each one to be responsible in consumption and production. So this is at the basis of his project, and he intends to create to reduce waste, giving new life to products that have reached the end of their cycle. So, as we heard this morning during most of the presentations, we are speaking again of waste and rubbish sometimes, right? So they are trying, Danilo and his team are trying, to encourage people to be more responsible and more sustainable. Please. Yeah, here's Danilo. And he tells, when he tells his story, he says that the project started when he was at the school. You know, he attended the European Institute of Design, so he's a designer, and he thought about his personal situation. And he had a bad accident when he was 21. And from then he's forced to sit on a wheelchair and to move with a wheelchair. But he was plenty of energy, and then he thought how to transform his traditional wheelchair in something that could help him realize new dreams, right? Please. Yeah, so he thought about something, a new wheelchair that allowed him to go into the sand, as you saw in the desert, but also on the beach, on the snow, and also a new wheelchair that could help him practice sports, as you saw again. But another functional issue was how to transport this wheelchair also in the car. So he tried to thought about all these issues, and then he became to produce as a designer this innovative and fashion project. You see, he even, well, as an Italian as he is, he even give the chair the colors of the Italian flag. Please, yep. Okay, so the project. So this was the origin of these regenerated wheelchairs for sport and everyday life project. As you can see, prima and dopo, so first and after, before and after, sorry. You can see the wheelchair from which he started, and then the final product they obtained after thinking on how to regenerate all these old products. Normally now, the wheelchairs are recovered and regenerated and restored to perfect working order. So they are, perfectly functional and are adapted to sport. But the most important thing is also that they are resold in the market at affordable prices, because the problem, many times for disabled people is that they cannot even afford, these transport means that facilitate all their operations day by day. Go, please. Yeah. What was the let's say the success that or what was the method he found better to realize his dream? Because he was he just thought about it. He projected this new wheelchair, but he needed money to produce wheelchairs at a wider scale, and also to put them into the market. Because you know, at a certain stage, he decided to become an entrepreneur out of this idea he had, and also out of this need, personal need he had that could be, I mean, he realized that was shared by many disabled people as he was. So what he did was to present this idea, this business idea at the competition. And thanks to the support of the incubator at the Polytechnic of Turin in Italy, he made his project grow during some years, having support to develop the project furthermore, to find new investors, to find also, well, to explore the market much more, and also to improve the concept of the product itself. So this is very important when you, well, I think that you have heard for 2 or 3 days speaking, about startuppers and entrepreneurial projects in circular economy. In this case, this was also his. He was lucky to, you know, to be one of the best projects considered in the contest, and then he got this 100,000 euro grant from the Michelin Foundation to go on and to realize definitely his dream. Please. Yeah, and then what happened that as far as he realized that he had become an entrepreneur, a real entrepreneur, he tried and think how to collect, you know, the waste that could make him gain more and more materials to reuse, and then to have a larger production, you know, because one thing is to produce your own wheelchair. It's very different to produce at a large scale and having products to sell also for other people and other customers. So he tells normally that he was looking at this large quantity of wheelchairs that were thrown away and were declared, let's say, no longer usable. So he also found, he also noticed that there were baby carriages on other products that could be easily be remanufactured. And then, as you can read here, in front of that mountain of false waste, he realized that he couldn't stop the production, and he could start a real regenerative project, not only made of wheels, not only leading to the production of wheelchairs, but let's say a global regenerative project. Please. Okay, and then what happened? He started to structure and to schedule the program work step by step. The first step in regeneration is material procurement. So how to find this material? You know, by chance, for example, going to this place where they accumulate waste, but now normally they also look for waste to recycle, specifically for products that are demanded by customers. So they can identify the material and then put it on the hands of designers and craftsmen, and then they go on thinking on how to reuse it, or they receive the input by a potential customer, and then they try to imagine how to identify waste and end-of-life products to produce a final output which is different and upcycle, let's say, the original product. The second step, thank you, is product disassembling. You know, the products are disassembled and sent to different creators. So they undergo these creative reuse processes. Then they need to wash them and sanitize them, and you know, they need to recover and have a new clean material to start with again. Redesign, so coming out of the old and original product, they try to imagine how to get a new product, unique and beautiful, because you know, they are designers, they look for also for beauty. The fifth step is production. Once they have the concept, once they have the new idea of how to upcycle the original product, then, well, they work together. This is important. This is a social commitment as well. They continue. They go on including disabled people in the product in the production process. Of course, step number 6, they care for quality. They look for quality and also for safety, because, you know, the final product need to be not only of quality but also safe for the user. Of course, in the case of a wheelchair, but also in case of furniture or whatever, you know, the customer can ask for. Next step, of course, is to photograph and to use this platform that they have created for marketing the product. So they upload the photographs in the platform, and then they start step number 8. Okay, and then this was the way how they started this shopping or e-commerce idea too, because they use both channels, traditional channel and the e-commerce one now. They have started to furnish some hotels, for example, as you can see here, where they use, you know, upcycled products as furniture. So it's it becomes kind of a showroom for the public. And so this is a way also to, you know, to show your products and to, well, to tell people that they are on sale. It's a new way, a new approach for, they don't have a shop. They simply have they use existing context to show the new products to the public. And the second channel is e-commerce. And as I told you, he is today busy. He could not be with us because they are today launching this new e-commerce platform, and which is the most important step of all the work that they have been doing during the last 2 years, because it was some kind of a 2-year work so far. As you can see now, next slide. They didn't stop. They haven't stopped at wheelchair productions. but now they upcycle a lot of products, as you can see here, from bags to seats to lamps or furniture, pencils, whatever. There is a second page, I think, also with photographs. Yeah, that's it. So this is, just to conclude, a project that, apart from being projected, starting from a custom regeneration idea and an upcycling idea of products of waste, it's also a product that makes together social commitment involving disabled people, but also producing for their, for improving their quality of life. And also the third component, which is important, is creativity and well, skills for designing and for designing products of quality. And I apologize because I'm not an expert. I'm not the entrepreneur, but as I told you, I look forward to telling you about this project because I found it I find it as an excellent project to also to imitate. Why not? And I wonder, can I make a question to the attendants? Am I allowed to make questions to the? Okay.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. No, I wanted to know if some of you, this is just storytelling about personal experience, but I imagine that sometimes also some of you have, ideas of how to recycle something, but just for fun or just for, because you are also creative. And so the question is, have you ever, any of you has ever thought about making business out of just, a handcraft passion or something like that?
Myself, I tend to recycle furniture actually, but it's because it's a trade secret passed on from my family because they were all carpenters. And I really like getting handy around the house. So I like power tools.
Good. But have you ever thought about becoming an entrepreneur out of that?
Actually. My sister and I, we have, because she likes the same thing. She once told me, because we had this phase where we were going through mid-century furniture recycling. And then she said, well, we cannot keep buying all these wardrobes and putting them in our own houses. Maybe we should think about starting a business and selling them. So we put them back to order, but we never did it. We are not very entrepreneurial, I'm afraid, but maybe we should try our hand at it. Like a secondary thing on the side of Eurada, maybe.
Nice to hear, yes. Others? No?
I think my father would be a good option for this as well, because he can make furniture from like wood and stuff, but sadly I'm not so technical, so neither am I very entrepreneurial. So it would be a challenge, but why not? We can go to some, in The Hague where I live, we have a nice antiques market. It's famous in the city, so maybe it would be a nice area to do some sort of business. So who knows in the future?
Cross-border venture.
Yes, maybe I can sell Tessa's stuff. That would be great, actually.
Yeah. Okay. I, for example, also appreciated sometimes I have bought jewels made out. Have you ever seen? Well, here in Italy is very common, to have coffee, and we use caps, Nespresso caps, and I have seen a lot of jewels. Well, made of caps, which are the coffee waste but they are recycled, and then you use them as a collar or as some earrings or whatever. And this is, you know, to be just to be creative, but that you can make a business out of it, out of that.
Yes, and if you look at the phenomenon of coffee in general, we could see today how much can be done. Like, you know, the leftover beans, they can grow fungus, which you can use for a lot of things. The cups itself can be used for jewelry. So yeah, we can be more circular than we thought. I could at least say for myself that this week I learned a lot about how circular things could be. But maybe we'll close that off later when we go to the word cloud. But first, I think there are some questions in the Slido page. We do have to say that, like you said, Marta, before as well, this is the project of an entrepreneur in Italy, and this is some translation presenting, let's say. So we could possibly get in contact if you don't know maybe the answer to the question. Okay, let's see the first question. What do you think education can do to foster, oh wait, did we already? No, we didn't, sorry. The transition towards circular economy on all levels of formal and non-formal education, vocational to 20 years old, LLL, etc.
What do I think? I think it's fundamental now to make, you know, our children and young people grow with this priority in their daily life. So it's yeah, education at schools, but also non-formal education, as it's written here, are the right tool and the right context where they can be encouraged more and more. But also, you know, if education does not go in parallel with also the family education at home, because think about just, you know, recycling of waste at home. If you just hear or listen to theoretical lessons at school, or just, well, sometimes laboratories or practical things, but we don't apply it in your daily life, and you don't have the example of your parents, for example, that's you know, that's a bit tricky. So yeah, I think it's an effort that all the population shall do to make young people grow more and more sensible to this goal. In any case, there are many educational programs now in Europe pushing for this circular economy behavior.
Thank you very much. And there was also one question regarding the project we just discussed. It looks like these tailor-made wheelchairs are far better quality than random newly bought ones. Does Danilo use bioplastics, etc. too?
Yeah, I know. Well, exactly. I cannot tell you, but I'm sure he does. And as I told before, they are every day they research and they look for new materials, biomaterials, or anything that can be easily reusable. And of course, as I mentioned before as well, they look for improving the quality of the product, either on safety or on just aesthetics. You know, imagine also children. I saw some time ago a child using a wheelchair designed by Danilo, which was all colors, or green and yellow, and so you know, life changes if you are a child and you are limited and you cannot, you know, work and play as the other, like the other children. But at least you try to color your life in some way. So the concept behind this project is that of improving quality of life in any for any aspect. So I'm sure that they use bioplastics, but if you want me, I mean, to be more precise, I can ask him exactly which kind of materials they use more, or they select as the best. It depends also on the product, I'm afraid. So it depends on the on the final product they want to obtain.
Okay, and then we have one final question. Ms. Serrano, does prototyping play a role for this Italian company?
I'm afraid that prototyping is it's a word that we are used to use in large scale production. So you need a prototype when you want to then produce many items of the same product. In this case, I think they are more they want more to be unique, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, and then normally they try not to repeat the regenerated product. They try to make them the only piece. So normally, I think that any of the of their outputs are a prototype in itself. That's my personal opinion, looking at the production they have. But if you want to have to me, that I'm more precise in this answer, I will ask again if they have this idea of, I don't know, prototyping for launching a larger scale production of some items.
Okay, thank you very much. If there are no questions coming from the Zoom. Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. I do believe it's a very inspiring project. So thank you for sharing that with us today.
Thanks to you.
All right, I think we have still only 3 minutes left, so it might be a good idea to discuss quickly the final word cloud of this week. I think I started the wrong one. I'll just quickly go to another page where I can see. Well, in any case, I think it will take too long for me to pull it up again. So maybe we can discuss verbally how this week was and what you learned, if there is any volunteer. Or type it in the Zoom chat if you wish.
So, for example, I learned that that circular economy is something that has been known since the 18th century. I mean, it's like sustainability. We are just starting to apply it now, and it can be applied to everything, and we can all apply it.
Very good point. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? We just have 1 minute left. No, I think that was it.
Delia has a question.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
I don't have a question. I just want to tell you that it was very interesting. They were very interesting days for me. I learned a lot. I already write it on your screen. I learned from definition to good practices, examples on circular economy. So it really was a very nice period for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your kind words.
I tried to share the slide yet because there's a lot of good food for thought in the cloud, but for some reason I cannot seem to share the cloud myself.
Yeah, I think I had the same issue. Maybe we could read out loud a little bit what it says if you have access to it.
Yeah, if you want. Hang on a minute. So what do we have here? Ideas to start my circular economy business. Sustainability, circular development, systemic change, better behavior, good practices, open data needed, the need for collaboration, good contacts, adopt good practices, business plans for circular economy, redesign products, adapt the lifestyle, redefine habits, understand practices, resources, planet. I see the word learned appears a lot too. The need for collaboration, how it works, which the good practices and the models to contact with. We should all contribute to sustain the economy by reintroducing materials and new products. It's very necessary. Policy change. So voila, I think that we reached what we wanted to reach.
I think we've accomplished the goal, and we might have a lot of new circular economy entrepreneurs here. So that is great to hear. You can all expect, I think everyone deserved their degrees on ECTA, so I'll expect an email with the information on that. And we do appreciate all of your input this week. It was quite intense, I would say, and we do appreciate that a lot. And I'd like to thank you all for joining this week.
Do you want to take a group photo, Yip?
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
In which case, everybody is required to put on their camera again.
As much as possible, yes.
Yeah, those who haven't left the room yet.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Cheese.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
And thank you also, Tessa and Yip, for the excellent work during these days. And I think they also deserve, this recognition as course masters. You were great. And thank you also for all the colleagues that were behind the scenes, but are in the backstage, but are, of course, also necessary, for the good running of these initiatives. So thank you very much to all of you for your work and for your participation. And good luck.
Thank you. Hope to see you
you.
next time. Bye.
Bye bye. See you.